All right, everybody, welcome to an impromptu night here with Becca's World, The Blind View. And here is your host, Rebecca S. Meadows.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening for another episode of The Blind View on Becca's World, right here on Rumble, streaming live, also streaming out over X, also known as Twitter, and a couple other platforms. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please be sure you are subscribed to us so you get notified every time we go live. My co-hosts Anya and Brandon are with me this evening. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. I am fantastic. Thank you for having this show on and thank you for having me over.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Anya. Yeah, this is kind of an impromptu episode that we're having. Gino, we're streaming to some new platforms tonight. If you guys, some of our regular viewers will notice we're on some new platforms tonight. So that's why we are streaming this, just to try out these new settings and stuff that we have, and to say hey to our viewers and see how everybody is tonight. It's Friday night. How exciting. Um, Anya and Brandon, do you guys have anything exciting going this evening or over the weekend?
Go ahead, Brendan. No.
Well, not really. I think it's just gonna kind of be relaxing and just my daughter's away, so she's 7, and so she's a fireball. She's a bundle of energy, so she's visiting her cousin. But I think it might have an overall more meditative and just self-care type of feel.
Oh, that'll be great for you and your family, Brandon. And Anya, are you and your family good too?
Well, we are doing great, but we don't really have anything planned, anything exciting. Perhaps we'll do some shopping in preparation for Thanksgiving. I love that holiday. I like celebrating American holidays, and yeah, we already have turkey purchased from a week ago or something. I can't remember. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to all this food planning. I love to cook, so it'll be a feast.
Oh, that's great. And it's awesome that Thanksgiving is coming up. And we all have so many things in this life to be thankful for. And I wanted to share something I'm thankful for. I recently, just a month ago, in fact, started stem cell therapy, and I had my first infusion of V cells a month ago. And so little bits over the last month, I've been getting some vision back, and
Ooh.
it's not anywhere near complete vision restoration at this point. And as the doctor told me, there's no guarantees, and I understood that. But I wanted to try it. I've been wanting to try stem cell therapy for over 30 years since I first heard about it. And now I'm getting the opportunity, and I really like the results I'm having. And to
Oh.
kind of, I want to kind of tell my viewers what it's like this. Like, I was recently discussing it on the phone with a girlfriend of mine who's also blind, and she was sighted at one point, like I was sighted at one point, and I was telling her how I remembered when I went blind when I was a child, like I would forget about it, right? And I think it was the brain injury. I would forget that I had gone blind. So each morning it was like discovering all over again that I was blind. And it was like going through that grieving anew every morning. And this went on for months after the accident. It was like my brain couldn't come to grips with the reality of the blindness completely. So every day it was like a new period of grieving, and it was terrible. But I was telling my girlfriend here recently that since I got the stem cell therapy a month ago, it's like each day is exciting, because almost every day when I get up, as I'm going about my life, I'm seeing little improvements in my vision. And so where back then every day was a terrible experience, right? Well, now every day is an awesome experience, because it seems like every day I'm getting a little bit of vision back. And it's just little pieces, right? And I realized decades ago that our visual field is really made up of all kinds of little pieces, right? And there's lots of different pieces to your vision, right? And I realized a long time ago that different parts of my visual perception were in better shape than others, right? So I've just been working on doing what I could on my own all these decades to make my vision better or stronger. And now I'm doing the stem cell therapy, and I'm just really happy with the results I'm having. And so maybe I can give you guys some examples of some specific things. Like, for example, my peripheral vision's been really bad all these decades, even when I started getting some vision back. But here lately, I've been able to see around corners and stuff like that, where I never was able to before. And like, I've been noticing over the last couple weeks, like my field is filling in where there were parts of my field that were much more distant than other fields. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
parts
yeah.
of it look further away than others. It's like everything's coming together. And for many years, it felt like I was seeing double, or like I was cross-eyed, right? And I no longer feel that cross-eyed sensation between my eyes, and I no longer feel like I'm seeing double. My field is clearing up, and so I was telling all this to that same girlfriend recently, right? And when I was telling her about the double vision that I suffered for so long after the accident, even when I started getting some perception back, she she got really excited. She said, "Oh, Becca, well, if you're seeing double, all you have is astigmatism. You just need to get glasses." And it was so crazy and so insane. And I tried to explain to her, I was like, no, I said, I am seeing double, but it's not because of the eyeballs. It's because the optic nerve was damaged in the brain. And she can't quite understand that concept that, yes, it's acting like double vision and acting like uh, stigmatism, but it's not caused from that, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's really great to hear that, Becca. I mean, when I heard your story first, I was like, wow, that is just an incredible story. But you didn't give up. You just kept moving forward and, developing things and writing books and making movies and now running a podcast. I mean, it's cool. And then I'm very happy that you've seen progress. Technology is not
Mhm.
the same place, every time it's moving forward. And yeah,
Right.
so I'm very glad for you.
Thank you, Anya. I really appreciate that. And
Well, as am I. I just want to say, as am I, Becca. There's a saying uh, that we often say in an organization called the National Federation of the Blind, and that is that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you. Okay, and it's not. It's really, and you're living proof of that.
yep. Yeah, I've done far more as a blind person than I ever did as a sighted person. And granted, I was only 12 when I went blind, but when I was a teenager and I was arguing with all those stupid doctors and greedy lawyers, and I kept telling them, you guys, God is not going to leave me this way. God is not going to leave me helpless and at your mercy. Someday I will recover and I will escape from you guys. None of
Mhm.
those men believed me. They thought I was just a brain injured girl that they could throw away or shove in a closet. And boy, did I prove them wrong. God and I both proved them wrong. But listen, you guys, we all have the same abilities inside of us, each one of us Americans, because we have amazing gifts from God. God blesses us. God blesses our whole country, you
Yeah.
know? But I just want to say, especially to the young women out there, and those of them those of you who are disabled or have other obstacles in your way, like maybe you live in a situation where your liberties are restricted because of religiosity and stuff like that in your community or in your home or school life or whatever. I just encourage you to believe in yourself. You have the ability to become stronger and become more than you are today, no matter what the people are saying around you.
Yeah.
And I just know it can look so hopeless to young women at times in this country. I was in some terrible situations, but I know there's so many other young women that are going through other desperate situations. And so I just want to share with them, like, when I was that 12-year-old girl, I woke up from that coma and they said, your life is over. Like, it took a lot of guts and a lot of stupidity too at the time to say, you guys are wrong. I'm not going to be like this forever, because my body was completely broken and my brain was shattered. And I didn't know if I ever really would recover, but I just knew that I couldn't stay like that. I knew that I would work every day to recover. And we all have that ability. So I just want to really impress that upon our viewers, because I think a lot of our viewers may be disabled people, maybe blind people, maybe women who are living in bad situations, who are looking for hope, you know. And because of what our country's been through the last few years, there's a lot of people living in desperate situations and needing hope right now. And that includes the people who are here illegally. Um, so I just, I just pray that God will bring some just solutions to the problems that we all face. And I really believe that President Trump is the leader that we need for a time such as this, because God gives President Trump such wisdom. And I've been praying every single day, multiple times every day, that God will give President Trump divine wisdom and heavenly insight into the situations that we face. Because if anybody can turn this stuff around for all of us, it's President Trump. And I'm so glad that he's about to be inaugurated here in 2 months.
Yeah, just about in 2 months. Yeah, that's great. I'm also, I'm very much into positive psychology, and then I believe in the power of thoughts, power of mind. So there's a book. For those who don't know, I actually came across of it. This book not too long ago, and I can't remember the author's name right now, but it's easy to find by the title. It's called "You Are the Placebo." Well, everybody knows what placebo effect is, right? So, and it basically is talking about how you can be your own placebo. And the book lists examples of people who actually convince themselves enough to change their physical, characteristics or whatever, like their physical problems. They convince themselves enough, so the universe, God, or however you want to refer to it as, change that for good. And people, the examples were that people stood up from the wheelchairs and started to walk, or various things, and like just mind-blowing, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work and a lot of attitude. You have to have very positive attitude, and not every other day or every week or something, but every single day. So.
Well, that saying, God helps those who help themselves, is not that far from the absolute truth. You know what I mean?
It is the truth, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we help ourselves through our thoughts and our emotions, but mostly our thoughts, you know what I mean? And
Yeah. They say every morning you wake up and you have a choice to be happy or to be sad. Like
yes.
you have a choice how to live your day. And it's so true, and then thoughts manifest themselves. So if you think, this subject has been talked about so much lately, and I'm glad it's been surfaced. They say that our like ancestors, like long far back, they knew all those secrets of power of mind. But right now people are talking about all this, and I'm glad to hear all that. That your thoughts manifest, and if you keep thinking negatively, all you're going to attract is negativity to your life. If you think positively, even if you're having a hard time, you still put a smile on your face. Like there's something called the power of smile. Even in the hardest time, you smile, 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 and then you fake it till you make it. See, there's a saying like that even. So
Yeah. And like, I can tell our viewers how much power positive words have, whether they come out of your mouth and you hear them, whether they come out of other people's mouths and you hear them, or they're self words you say in your head, right? From your subconscious or God or yourself, right?
mhm.
All these words have so much power. And I realized that so early on, because I realized how terrible it felt, how the cutting pain inside with some of the harsh words that were said to me. And so when I was cut so deeply by those harsh words, that's what made me think, made me start to wonder if the opposite would be true, if my soul received good words, words, uplifting words, and that's when I started trying to, keep protect my mind and my soul from terrible words and terrible thoughts that weren't true, you know what I mean? And
Well,
so
and I just want to say, as a guy, I think that men and women, we should complement each other.
mhm,
And just real quick, I didn't mean to cut you off, Becca. Just real quick though, I will say I'm a moderately good manifester myself. So this doesn't, guys. I know women are known as being more intuitive and whatnot, but look, I just said I'm a moderately good manifester myself, and so yes, I believe that there is indeed power in words. I do indeed believe that thoughts do have a certain vibratory effect. And last but not least, and again, Becca, I think you're demonstrating this like in a very tangible way. Let's don't forget that the law of attraction, right? The last part of that last word is action, right? So it's I don't believe it's enough to just think, although thinking what you think is very important. What you say is very important, because let's not forget that even the Holy Bible says, and God said, right? God didn't think, God didn't point or make a hand gesture. God said all
let
the
there
things
be
he said,
light.
right? So I'm in full resonance with everything that's been said thus far.
Mhm.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
Yeah, and 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 just, I mean, I just really wanted to drive that home for everybody, that just that idea that no matter what your situation is, look inside yourself for the answers and ask God to guide you, to find the answers, to help you out of your situation, because God will open the doors for you. He'll open windows for you. He'll make stuff happen if you ask him to. Believe me.
Well, looks like
Absolutely.
we're up against the commercial break here, guys. So,
Yeah, it's
well,
coming
Okay.
right up.
Becca, I do have some questions for you on the other side, though.
Okay, let's take a quick commercial break. Hi, it's me, Rebecca S. Meadows, the author, with my new book, Living on Borrowed Time, The Ravings of an Angry Survivor of Traumatic Brain Injury and Guardianship Abuse. It's available on Kindle Digital Download, Amazon Print on Demand, and on Audible. Please go check it out. And now, back to the show.
All right, we are back. And one thing I was going to say, and then Brandon, you jump back in with your questions, is after we move from this topic, I would love to know specifically Anya's thoughts on, the latest development of what's going on with Ukraine and,
Yeah,
this impending missiles being fired and all the other stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll share some if you guys are
yeah.
interested.
So what was your statement or question, Brandon?
Well, okay, so two succinct questions I want to ask you. Number one, do you believe that there is or can be any power in exhibiting gratitude? That's my first question. And then my second question is, well, sort of, I do have a question for you, but let me just point out for the audience, excuse me. It's kind of interesting, Becca, and I'll keep you and everybody here in Becca's world posted. I actually am enlisted now in the Neuralink patient registry, because
Ooh.
they now have a product called Blind Sight. And here's the thing: I want to make this absolutely clear. Again, blindness is not the characteristic that defines me. And if you're blind, it should not be the characteristic that defines you either. However, I'm just simply curious, right? I'm simply curious because, like Becca said, my optic nerve also is likely damaged. We don't really know the full extent, because also, like Becca, the medical professionals don't want to bother. They just say, "Oh, I can tell right away, just looking at you, that you're blind, and um, any kind of surgery that you have would just be an elective cosmetic surgery, because there's likely not anything we can do to improve your vision. We could change the appearance of your eyes and things, but there's likely not anything that we can do to actually functionally improve your vision." And that was as recent, guys, as 2023, just so you know. So maybe there's not, and that's, I'm okay with that. But it's interesting, Becca. Did you? My second question is, did you know about the blind sight project from Neuralink? And if so, or if not, why did you elect to go with stem cells as opposed to working with a company like Neuralink?
Well, so Neuralink, I believe that's the thing where they surgically implant it in your head. Is that correct?
It is that is my understanding. I would
Okay.
if I'm even considered a good candidate. Again, we're not even at that. I'm not even at that level yet. Right. I'm just in their
Okay.
registry right now, and I haven't even like actively reached out like, hey, because again, I don't
I have
desire
a really
sight
good
all that much.
answer for that question. The reason I didn't never bothered, I mean, I've heard of that Neuralink, and I've heard of a lot of other things over my experience of being blind for almost 36 years now. And I have known people that have had some success with some of that stuff. But one thing I've learned about blindness is one man's blindness is not like another man's blindness, right? Like I'm cortically blind, which means the optic nerve in the brain is what was damaged. As far as the doctors are concerned, my eyes are seeing 20/20. You know what I mean? But then there's some people who are
I
blind because their
see.
eyeballs aren't
Wow.
working. And so when I went, quote, blind at the age of 12, it was because the optic nerve was severely damaged, but the eyeballs themselves were fine. And then when I continued to grow from the age of 12 and a half to 13, 14, 15, and I was growing, my brain was also healing as I was growing. So when I was a teenager, I was telling those doctors, but hey, I'm not totally blind anymore. I'm seeing light, I'm seeing shadows, I'm seeing some blurry shapes. I was seeing all kinds of stuff in high school, right? But it was so blurry and out of focus. And a lot of it was my vision's been getting so better since I had the stem cell therapy. Now I've been able to sort it out that a lot of it was like seeing double. And I really believe, like, when my brain injury occurred, it was like the optic field was split or something, because when I was in high school, I started getting light perception back at first, and then, like I said, some blurry shapes and stuff. Eventually, it was like I was seeing two images that were overlapping each other, but not completely straight. They were crooked. And so it made everything blurry. And it was that way for a long time until I started the stem cell therapy. And and so I've had a lot of good stuff happen in the last month where my visual field is clearing up now, and it's like the two images are becoming one, so there's not that blurriness around the edge of everything, because you know what I mean, because it's actually two images that are off centered from each other that I'm seeing.
Mhm.
And so, and it does still feel like one field, like the right eye does still feel somewhat stronger than the left eye, but the left eye is definitely catching up with the right eye. And for many years I've had very unbalanced visual fields from the right to the left, and so I see crooked and I look at things crooked. And when I look at people and I'm talking to them, they always say, hey, you're looking past me,
Mhm.
And it's been kind of weird. And I just had to get used to it, because I felt like I was being dishonest with myself and with people around me if I tried to look past them from my perspective, but only to be facing them straight on, right? I felt like I had to see them from my perspective. But I always looked at people like I was looking beyond them.
Mhm.
And but it's not so much that way anymore. I'm seeing straighter now, And so I'm just really happy with what I've seen with the stem cell therapy so far. And I have my next treatment scheduled. They like to wait 90 days between procedures because it takes a while to work out. And I want to explain to you guys how this works too. So it's called V cells. And what they found, I'll tell you some of the stuff that I remember that the doctor explained to me. They found that when we're born, when we're babies, we have these infant stem cells in us that help us grow like crazy, right? Grow and become stronger and healthier people, right? And that's why we do so much growing and stuff when we're infants and little kids, right? But as we grow older, those cells, they change and they're no longer working like that. Well, they figured out how to go in and turn those infant stem cells, those V cells, back on. So they become like new again, where they're like going through that rapid growth, right? And it also creates rapid healing. And so when I first got the procedure a month ago, that's when they turned the V cells on, and the V cells will be on for 90 days.
Mhm.
And so that's why right now, like from day to day, I'm experiencing new things, right? New pieces of my vision are coming together because it's like the optic nerve is healing it again, right? And I did experience, like I said, I did experience a lot of healing when I was in high school after the accident. I believe it was because I was a teenager and, my body was already doing so much growing and the healing just naturally happened along with it. But that
Mhm.
eventually tapered out and I wasn't completely healed yet. So I just tried to make myself stronger ever since.
So
But anyway,
sounds
that's the
like
story of my stem cell therapy.
yeah, sounds like this fits you a lot better than Neuralink would when it comes
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that's so. Over the years, I've had a lot of blind friends who told me about these things. Oh, you should go try this. You should go try that. And I always said, no, that's not for me, because I never wanted to do something that was going to be invasive to my brain again. That was going to be able to hurt my brain again, like a surgery. Because
Mhm.
the last time I let them cut into my head was when I was 16 years old, and I never again after that, not after what I experienced,
Well,
and
I
they
I
never.
just got to point out though that like what you said earlier, Rebecca, is very very true. Blindness is indeed not the same for
Right,
everybody, and like in my
right.
case, I don't mind saying, because of my blindness is retinal detachment. So your
Mhm,
eyes are fine, my eyes are not fine.
mhm,
But Neuralink, however, I gotta advocate for them a little bit here. I'm not at all trying to diminish what you're saying. In fact, I resonate very very well with what you're saying.
mhm,
However, again, my eyes do have structural compromise, right? And Neuralink
mhm.
does say even for people that were born blind, we think we might be able to help. So again,
Well, I
I'm
think
not
it's
it's not a big priority for me, but if
right.
they can help, I'm willing to try it out. But I can understand your perspective as well, though. Like you've already been through a lot of surgical procedures. I have
Yeah.
not. So yeah, there are interesting differences between you and me.
How
Yeah,
how do you get on the registry? Oh, sorry.
and
Uh,
because before the accident occurred, I was like very intelligent and my brain was always important to me. And then after the accident, I just knew I had to focus on making my brain better. And I knew what the doctors were doing to me was not helping, So as soon as I could, I weaned myself off of all the medications and I started studying on how to heal my brain. Like when I was in my early 20s, I did crossword puzzles like crazy because my brain like fiend for the crossword puzzles because it was making my brain stronger.
mhm.
Um, and I never drank alcohol excessively. I've always been careful about what medications I take. I've just tried to be really careful about what I do to my brain. And I've never done anything to my eyes. I've tried to protect my eyes. In fact, when I lived in Montana, I was a member of the Montana Association for the Blind for years. And a lot of the members were older Montanans who'd been blind, a lot of them from macular degeneration. And so they talked to us a lot about the importance of protecting our eyes from the sun, right? And so it's something I've always been well aware of, because as I've been getting more vision back, I didn't want to hurt my eyeballs in the process, you know? In fact, I just got a pair of sunglasses 2 days ago because my eye strain has been getting so bad since I had that stem cell procedure, you know, because there's more light coming into my optic nerve now. And so I'm getting headaches from eye strain from too much light coming in. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, that's good. It's your route. It's awesome. But for somebody like Brandon and myself,
oh, yeah.
Neuralink could be something like as a
Yeah.
alternative. Yeah, I might get on the registry too if they still accepting, because that would be
Yeah,
interesting. I mean, I'm not quite sure I want to get something installed in my brain. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I wouldn't be the first one to try it. I will wait a while.
I'm
Uh,
already crazy, so I guess I don't. Although I'm not diagnosed, so world, you've been put on notice. You don't
you know
don't
how
don't
many people go
don't
undiagnosed?
make me angry. Okay, don't make me angry. But
Hey,
no,
you guys.
I would tell you, Anya, it's free. It's free, but the process is kind of lengthy. If you want to just get more information or whatever, you could just Google, Neuralink registry. It's Neuralink,
Uh-huh.
Neuralink patient registry. But it is one of those things where they do request access to your medical records if any exist for you. It's kind of a lengthy process, but it's free.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't really have medical records. All the records of vision-wise that I had were all in Ukraine, and obviously, like, there's no way anybody's going to look into them. They were all handwritten.
Right.
And yeah, so it was way before computers. I know I'm not that old. It was so only in the
Maybe you
90s,
could
but
go see a doctor here in
I
the States
did.
now and get re-diagnosed.
Oh, trust me, I tried that twice and I was not happy. Just like well, who was that saying? You or Brandon? The doctors are so dismissive. I think Brandon was saying that, they just like, "Oh, okay, you're blind. Like, there's nothing we can do. If they can't
Yeah.
see any solution, they couldn't even
Yeah.
re-diagnose me. I came and I said, like,
Right.
look, I don't remember my exact diagnoses. I remember a couple, but it was so long ago, things may have changed. So, and I went to very good doctors. Supposedly, I'm not gonna say the name of the doctor here, but it is a very famous doctor here. Everybody seems to be happy with him. So I made an appointment, went there, and then I was in an appointment like maybe 5 to 10 minutes the most. And like,
Uh-huh.
no, no, like we don't know what you have. You may have detachment, but you haven't been my patient since the beginning. So I don't think I can do anything for you. So, and from the medical point of view, they kind of gave up on me. But there are other ways. There's uh, power of thinking. There is technological developments. So maybe one
Well,
day something will come around.
yeah, and you might look into stem cell therapy also, Anya, because it makes sense to me that stem cell therapy may be able to help with detached retinas also. I
Well,
just
see,
have,
but I have other according to them, supposedly my optic nerve is dead.
Correct,
So,
correct. Yeah,
Mhm.
so
that's right. See, so Anya and I face multiple visual complications.
Yeah,
mhm.
and those doctors, they're right so much. Like, I remember they told me I wouldn't even survive to graduate from high school. And they told me I would never be able to live independently because my brain would always be destroyed and that I would never be able to see again. But
Yeah.
but
Actually, I don't trust a lot in allopathic medicine because I recently went through a pretty serious ordeal, and I'm telling you, my experience was ask two or three different physicians, even specializing in the same thing, and you might get two or three different answers. So I'm not
yeah.
super trusting of the allopathic model.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I hear stories all the time when doctors predict one thing and the turnout is completely different for a person.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
may be helpful when needed. Those doctors, I'm glad they're around for
Hmm.
most of the time, but
Well,
I don't
I
trust.
I I think in hospitals they need to have like life coaches in the hospitals to coach these people when these people are told you have cancer and you're terminal, you have 6 months to live. I think they need life coaches who are on staff who could come along and be like, hey, don't listen to him. Let's make the most of every day you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of see what you mean, but I don't know how this would work. You don't want to give
Well,
false hope
so
to people at the same
well,
time.
if you're going to fight cancer, you need to have a positive outlook and a positive perspective, right? The doctors don't necessarily try to give you a positive outlook or a positive perspective. In fact, it seems to me like they try to give you the worst case scenario. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
and this is
and
why
and
I'm so hopeful that, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the new administration can make
oh
so
yeah.
many, innovative changes where health is concerned.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited about RFK being on board with Trump. I really like RFK's agenda of making America healthy again. You know that?
Yeah, I don't like most of his policies. I wouldn't stand behind. He's a gun grabber and he's like some other
Hmm.
things. But when he goes after health, after big pharma and
Yeah,
investigating all those, you know,
yeah,
organizations, few letter organizations, CDC,
yeah.
H,
The three letter.
yeah, 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 3 letter organizations. Yeah, so they really need some restructuring. There's a lot going on there. But I
Yeah,
mean, they're gonna fight tooth and nail to not let him make changes. But I hope he gets a good team to work with.
yeah. One thing I'm hoping that when this is all said and done, I'm hoping that insurance companies will cover more holistic medicine options for their patients.
Oh,
Like
I definitely
like
hope so as well, because
acupuncture and what were you saying, Brandon?
no, I'm just saying I hope so as well, and because even like what you're going through, it's often very, very difficult, if not impossible, to get insurance companies to pay for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, insurance companies won't pay for this. I'm paying for this out of pocket and it's costly. I'm only going to do a couple of treatments here and see how much benefit I get from it, right?
Yeah.
Um but I really believe in this medicine and I'm hoping that I can get great results because after my story, with my background and my story and my situation, if I get enough healing from this and I'm able to go to college and do the things I want to do in life and that every other American gets to do, that is going to be a huge story. And I think that's going to be I mean, my story alone should be enough to get the government to force insurance companies to start covering stem cell therapy for everybody. And I think it could even help our veterans, you know what I mean? And other people who are seriously injured.
Yeah, well, currently as it stands, I heard somebody saying I really like that, which is so true. Like, American healthcare, it's neither about health nor about care. Yeah, that's
Right.
that's so true.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed. Unfortunately, agreed.
yeah. You know, those doctors probably would have been right had I listened to them when I was in high school. I probably wouldn't have survived to graduate from high school. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But fortunately, I just refused to listen to them from day one. They weren't going to tell me that my life was over, you know? So,
Well, hopefully that treatment works for you. And when would you see the ultimate result? You said you're gonna do a couple of treatments and
yeah, I'm going to do a couple of treatments and see how much benefit I can get from it and just go from there. There's no guarantees because it's like a lot of it is my own attitude about it, but it works with my immune system, right?
hmm
Like they put the V cells in you and they go basically, it's kind of like when you get an immunization, they put when you get an immunization, they put like dead cells in your body or weakened cells for the illness in your body. So your body builds immunity to that disease, right? Well, what they're doing with the stem cell thing is they're putting a few of these V cells in your body, and those V cells go in and they go to the places where healing is needed, and they go to work in those places, right? And so to me, is so similar to some of these other types of medicine that we've understood for so long already, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but
Oh yeah, I like Anya. I do hope that this works for you. I mean, I mean, why not, right? Like if you can, if you can improve yourself on any level, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, why not do it?
yeah.
Especially if you already see if you already seen some improvements. So
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. That definitely is encouraging that you already are actually seeing, literally seeing improvement. Yeah, that is
Oh
encouraging.
yeah. Yeah, I have like a much wider field of vision. I'm not like struggling to see at all anymore. Like for so many years, my eyes were so sensitive to light, right? Like overly sensitive to light. Well, that oversensitivity has gone away. So I don't struggle so much with the glare of light. You know what I mean? And so I'm able to keep my eyes open wider and see more. And I just see so many little things in my vision that are changing, and I'm really enjoying it. So
But can I ask you though, Becca? I mean, do you believe though in the ability of let's say that it's determined that a certain procedure will not work for a blind person. I mean, do you believe in the abilities of blind people though, or do you resonate more with the doctors who think that blind people should be isolated and segregated and things like that? I mean, what do you think?
oh my gosh, no, blind people should never be isolated or segregated. Like that, any blind person who's worth their salt knows that. Like, there's no question in my mind. No, absolutely not. Blind people should never be segregated or set out. I mean, on this show, because this is the blind view, right? We try to have blind people on here, but we've had even sighted people on the show. But
Well, and I just mentioned that because I myself am very thankful to the Lions of the Lions Club International.
uh-huh,
But see their perspective, and back when I held a leadership position in the National Federation of the Blind, I was trying to open up some dialogue with them, and I was able to do it. But then I moved away from that city for job relocation purposes.
uh-huh,
But their overall paradigm is that, oh man, I wish we could fix that. We really need to try to prevent that. I wish we could fix it. Which I
oh
understand, but it's kind of in
yeah,
my opinion and from my perspective, it's kind of a backhanded perspective, because it's kind of intrinsically saying, oh man, we need to stop that because that's so horrible and so terrible. And I'm not saying that blindness is a cakewalk.
yeah, that's
I'm
definitely
not,
not the
but
right attitude to have. No, all I'm saying is this is part of me shooting like all Americans, right? Like we like to learn things and become more skilled, right? And so for me, that's just what my healing has been. It's been, and it's been a way for me to prove those men wrong. Like I said, when I was that teenage girl arguing with those doctors and lawyers and crap, it made me angry. You know what I mean? And it was so wrong. It was like they were stealing my identity, basically. They were trying to convince me I was somebody that I wasn't for their
mhm.
own
well,
purposes.
but I just got to point out, female doctors can be just as bad, and nurses and everything else.
Yeah, to some extent. And honestly, I have to tell you, it was really infuriating at times when I looked at females who should have been standing up for me, who were instead sitting there on the side of the bastards trying to convince me that I was wrong, I would never recover, that I needed to listen to them and obey their every order. You know what I mean?
Oh, trust me, I'm quite disappointed in females myself. I mean, if
Yeah.
women cannot stand up for women's rights and they claim to be feminists,
Yes.
they're just, I cannot think of a better word that starts with a B and ends with
Yeah.
an H. That's just it. I mean, if you just proclaim that you're just such a feminist and supporting the women's rights, but then you let guys dominate in women's sports, for example, like, no,
Right.
you are
Yeah.
not supporting women, really.
Yeah.
So, and with the doctor situation, I don't know, I wasn't there, but yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So, but um Gino, did you want to take a second commercial break tonight, or?
Yeah, let's go ahead and play the trailer, and then
Okay.
yeah, if you guys want to talk about the Ukraine situation.
Yeah.
All right,
Is
Okay.
hold on a
yeah.
second.
Okay, great.
Why don't they have blind people sections at sporting events? Why do I gotta pay the same price to not see shit? Okay? The Jumbotron ain't even built for me.
I am the business manager here at the Visually Impaired School of Arizona.
I see you brought the film crew. Make sure you get my good side.
All right, settle down and get focused on your tasks.
I teach the art of cuisine, child. You wanna know what the problem, the biggest problem in the blind community? It's you sighted people.
Just take a look over here.
Yeah, I don't know where that is, man.
Okay, you all need to turn off those cameras and just leave the building.
Wait, Joe, hold on.
Oh, on your right.
You're on the right.
How would you know that the men you're dating are black?
No, this is not card member services. This is the Visually Impaired School of Arizona.
Gigi, where are his pants?
I don't know.
Billy doesn't work here. He basically came with the building.
I can be the very first mayor of Blind Sylvania.
Make blind America great again.
There goes my pie.
This happens every day.
No, of
Sometimes.
course not.
All right, we are back. I love that trailer. Anybody that is interested in Becca and I, our project, we got to work with a lot of great people. Don't
Oh,
Look
yeah.
Now TV is a TV pilot, all set in the blind community and featuring over a dozen low vision and blind actors.
Yep. Yeah, and we got that baby audio described too. So, and some people have had the privilege of seeing it. So, are you with us, Anya?
Yeah, I'm here. Mm-hmm.
Are you with us,
Did-
Brandon?
I am indeed.
Okay, Anya, do you want to go ahead and talk?
Well, sure, but did anyone have a specific question? Like, well, I think Gino had something to ask, or you just.
Yeah, so I guess specifically how you feel about, a lot of people are saying that here it is, the 11th hour, the end of Biden's administration. There's a lot of talk about how this approval of, longer range rockets and weapons, that were just given to Ukraine. And I don't know, just I don't actually want to put in any thoughts of it. I was just curious, because you are from Ukraine, what your thoughts are on, is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Well, of course, it's a bad thing. I mean, I opined on it last time in the last episode, but I just want to say overall, Ukrainians and Russians and the whole world is so sick and tired of this war, and these bastards who are just trying to escalate it just so they can do something nasty to Trump before they leave, like I said before, I think they are just trying to have this war spiral out of control, so it will be harder for Trump to negotiate anything. But from what I heard recently, I don't know how true it is because I didn't read anywhere verbatim that Putin supposedly said that he's not going to respond aggressively to all these provocations. He's going to wait till Trump gets in office and they're going to start talking. Like they're going to start negotiating. Basically, wait till adults get back to the room.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, people are so tired. Like I said, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but Ukrainians are no longer interested in fighting. When it first, like when first couple of years, first year especially, people were so enthusiastic. They were so encouraged. Like, yes, we're gonna win this war. We're gonna stand for for the freedom, for democracy. Blah blah blah. They were saying all this, cute stuff that they hear from TV, and they really believe that. They really believe that. But when they saw how they're being treated at the front lines and how much money was being laundered and pocketed and so much unfair treatment, and what? There's like, why would I want to fight further? Why do I want to fight? And when it got to the point when Ukrainian men were so sparse, so they started literally catching people in the streets and throw them into the buses and making them go to the war. So, I mean, this is totally verifiable information. I actually got in a fight with somebody on Facebook who sits in, she's in Canada. She's such a pro Ukrainian person. And she goes, "Oh, how do you know? You're not even there. Like, neither are you." And I mean, but I do have people who live there and who talk about their relatives, who talk about their friends. My best friend's brother cannot leave the house because they used to be more careful. They used to be looking at people's, disabilities or whatever. They would take only healthiest people. But later on, when they ran out of men to kill, thanks to the United States, um, so they started just grabbing whoever. So it used to be, for example, if you have, let's say you have a parent or a spouse who is disabled, and they would not take you to war because you're kind of a caretaker or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Not anymore. They don't look very often into that because they need more meat for the guns, as we call it in Russian. I don't know if it translates well, but yeah. So they just grab those people, and I heard from another blogger who I follow. Again, it's just something I cannot confirm 100%, but she lives in the city where I lived in Ukraine, and she says now the Ukrainian government can punish you for filming those capturings, like those like when men get into captivity, like when they grab them on the streets.
Oh.
Filmed it and posted on the social media on YouTube. You can have a knock on a door, and the forces, Ukrainian forces, will come and have a talk with you or take you behind the bars. So,
Oh, that's fun.
So let
mhm.
me ask you this, Anya. Do you think that? Okay, let me just for a second here express my perspective and then ask you my question. I'll make this quick and succinct. Don't worry. But I've also heard that as compared with the Army of the United States of America and other nations as well, but I live in America, so I have the most familiarity with our military forces. So as compared to the Army and Navy and Marine Corps and Air Force and Coast Guard of the United States of America, shout out to all of you, the Russian military as a whole is far less disciplined, far less capable, far less technologically advanced. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to be provocational where Russia is concerned. In fact, I'm appreciative that Vladimir Putin has been willing to have, again, as I said earlier this week, such a measured response. I think we should all be grateful for that because there's a doctrine known as mutual assured destruction, right? Guys, for any who may not know, when we start talking about nukes, they're very, very unpredictable in the sense of, even if country A decides to nuke country B, I mean, okay, they might achieve that objective, but then the radioactive fallout because of the jet stream could travel in a number of places. Okay, it's not good. It's not good. And so my question for you is, Anya, do you think, in other words, what do you think about, okay, like I said earlier, I do think that what Russia did to Ukraine could and should be seen as an invasion. However, given where we are currently, I mean, don't you think that it should just stop? I mean, can you imagine a future in which this Russian-Ukrainian war in particular just stops? I mean, because it doesn't seem like it's benefiting either side from my perspective. What do you think?
Well, of course, it's not benefiting either side. It was totally avoidable. It did not have to happen if the Western leaders were not such losers and such morons who facilitated all this. Like I said in a previous episode, Russia had warned Ukraine and the West, NATO. They said, like, do not take Ukraine to NATO. It cannot become, because they are so close to us, and NATO historically is our enemy. It was originated to counterforce Russia, right? So they said, no, we don't want that, but they didn't care. So
Alexa, stop.
Russia, I mean, yeah, United States goes and stages the coup in Ukraine and overthrows the duly elected president who was pro-Russian president. I personally voted for him too. So a lot of people voted. So he was there was legitimate election. He won, but the United States decided no, we don't want that guy. So, and as they're famous for to stage colored revolutions across the world, they did the same thing in Ukraine. That's how this whole thing started. And my part, the eastern part of Ukraine, where my family is from, they said, "Screw you, clowns. We don't want to be with you. You overthrew our president. You seized power, and we don't want to be part of you. So we want to be with Russia." And that's how it all went down. But to answer your question, of course, like I said from the very beginning, the countries are exhausted. Ukraine is exhausted, Russia is exhausted. Nobody wants this war. That's why I cannot wait till Trump gets in and starts talking to Putin, because I'm sure they will negotiate some deal, because Putin is not an idiot. With all his flaws, he does not need to spend all this money that he's spending, and he does not need to be losing all his men. Why would he want that? So there are many, many different perspectives on how to look at Putin and what to think of Putin. Yeah, he's not ideal, but he's definitely not an idiot. So, like I said, I hope Trump comes in, and then, however they decide to do it, I mean, maybe there'll be some compromise. Ukraine will lose something, Russia will lose something, but it just has to end. If we're grabbing people from the streets and we're talking about women starting to go to the war, it's not okay. It's just not okay. And as for discipline, yeah, you said Russian army is less disciplined. Yeah, Russia has problems. I don't know whether it's less or more. I mean, every now and then you hear like such and such general has been arrested for this or that, but every military has issues. Well, I have to say, at least we don't have generals in skirts like our military has here in the United States. So I gotta say that. At least our
that's true, and I appreciate your perspective. And I also I acknowledge what you've said. America, has tended to well, in fact, be a bit of a bully, not just a peer. I mean, you're right. We and anyway, I don't think we should continue using our power in that way. But now the opposite side would say, yeah, but if America pulls out, X region will deteriorate into pandemonium and chaos. So, but frankly, this is me speaking personally. I don't care. Again, Ukraine is a lot closer to you than us. And I think that our tax dollars and our military personnel can be used for much, much better things to make America great and healthy again. Okay, I don't think that we should be bullying the world anymore. Let's just focus on America for a change, please.
Yep. I second that. All right, so.
All right, Beck, did you have any last things you'd like to talk about? Oh, I see you got your book.
I wanted to share this with our viewers. This is a copy of my new book called Living on Borrowed Time, The Ravings of an Angry Survivor of Traumatic Brain Injury and Guardianship Abuse by Rebecca S. Meadows. It's not very thick, and it's not very angry either. I know it says The Ravings of an Angry Survivor, but that's just to show how much passion is put in the book, really. I'm not angry anymore, guys. At God or the doctor or the lawyers or my parents. So anyway, I just invite you guys to check out my book because I think it can help people a lot. Again, it's called Living on Borrowed Time, The Ravings of an Angry Survivor of Traumatic Brain Injury and Guardianship Abuse by Rebecca S. Meadows. It's available on Amazon Print on Demand, Kindle digital download, and on Audible. Thank you, guys. Do you guys have anything you want to add before we wrap up the show?
Yeah, well, I think we had a great show, interesting discussion, and I'm glad I was able to learn about your life, Becca, a little bit more, and hearing Brandon's perspective. And things I learned that we have similar vision problem with Brandon, and I'm glad, Becca, you are getting some improvements. So looking forward to the next show, next episode.
Yeah, looking forward to it too. And
I
so,
am as
ladies and
well.
gentlemen,
No, I don't really have anything else to add, but I appreciate being here with you all this evening.
Yeah. And so, ladies and gentlemen, whatever platform you're watching us on tonight, please be sure that you are subscribed to us so you'll catch our show again next week. Thank you for joining us this evening. That's a wrap, y'all. Peace out. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Becca's World. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.